Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Kicking Tables. We are delighted to have Dave Beck and Erik Evensen with us tonight to talk about their game Distilled, which comes to Kickstarter on July 6th. So that's coming up very fast. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Who wants to dive in and tell us briefly what Distilled is, what kind of game this is?
Erik, take away. You go. You go. Let's see if he does this right. Let's see if he can get this right. No,
I'm not as practiced.
This is a test, Erik. This is a test.
I'll give it the old college try. Distilled is a game about making spirits in a distillery. Huh?
Very good. Now, is it a specific kind of spirit? Or is it just anything?
Dave, why don't you take it from here? I don't think I'm as practiced as you are.
I wanted to give him a good first crack at it. All right. So yeah, Distilled is a strategy, middleweight strategy game about essentially distilling different types of spirits from all around the world. It's got a little bit of mitigate your luck, a little bit of resource management, a little bit of resource fulfillment, a little bit of tableau building. You've essentially inherited a distillery from a long-lost relative, and it's your job to bring it back to its former glory over the course of 7 rounds, where you are essentially trying to create the most prestigious spirits in the land.
Awesome. Any kind of spirits you want. Not just whiskey.
Yeah, not just whiskey. It started out that way originally when I first conceived of the game, but it's really grown. I wanted very much to have this be something that represents all the different spirits in the world that are created. Because many people think, including myself, that whiskey, everybody drinks whiskey. It's the most consumed spirit in the world. Not by a long shot. Baijiu out of China, as well as soju in South Korea, or in Korea in general, are 2 very heavily consumed spirits that many people kind of on the Western culture might not even know about.
Never heard of them, but now I want to try them.
Yeah.
So I always like to know the origin story. So is this one of those situations where you were walking out with your board game collection, somebody was walking by with a case of booze, and you hit each other, and this is where the idea came from? What was it? Where did the idea spark from?
Somebody got their board games in your whiskey, and you got your whiskey in their board games?
That's right. Soaked through and through. Yeah, so I think it's a pretty good origin story, actually. I was conducting research. I'm a university professor, just like Erik is as well, at the same university, doing some research over in Scotland. Big board game fanatic already, game designer by trade as far as a professor. And I was touring lots of distilleries, lots of drams of whiskey as well. Was not expecting to make a board game at all. And one night, couldn't sleep. It was light bulb moment came on, and I realized there's some mechanics that I could create that would simulate how distilling works. And from there, the rest is history. All night, jotting down ideas. And I think it was probably even the next morning, I messaged Erik back in the States. He's like, hey, you want to be the artist for this idea I have? At the time, of course, I don't even want to. I'm sure Eric's like, yeah, sure, that sounds good. That'd be fun, like for a couple months.
Yep. Sounds like a good couple weeks of work.
Is that all it takes to get an artist? Just say, hey, I have an idea. Do you want to be an artist? That's awesome. Erik, I think I'm going to be calling you up after the show.
I have to admit, I'm very easily swayed by cool ideas.
Awesome. Good to
I
know.
should admit that, I think, on live on a video.
Right. Yeah. Be careful who you tell that to.
Right.
Now, what's a typical round of gameplay look like in Distilled?
Yeah, so essentially it's broken down into 2 big chunks, 4 phases, but really it's 2 chunks. One is you're at a market in the center of the table. Everybody's taking turns buying ingredients, recipes, barrels, bottles. They're hiring people or buying equipment for their distillery to upgrade it. And then everybody goes back to their distillery and they distill the alcohol, and then they can choose to age it or they can choose to sell it. And if they age it, they don't get money right away, but they'll get points later on, or they'll sell it for some immediate money to be able to kind of rinse and repeat, do that again. And that happens over the course of 7 rounds.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah,
That's right. So, Erik, when you got that call, did you immediately have some ideas for the type of art you wanted to go with? I really loved the look. It sort of has that sort of 20s art style, art feel to it. Did you already have, like, as soon as you had that conversation, or did it take you a while to come up with where your direction?
I think it took us a little while to get to where we are, but I don't know. I kind of I teach digital painting,
Okay.
but I'm also a comic book artist, and so
wow.
usually when I get hired to do stuff, it's very much based in line art and this comic book sort of aesthetic. And I knew I wanted to do something else. I wanted to do something a little more painted. I remember telling Dave that at some point in a flurry of emails between Scotland and America, and he was totally on board. He's like, "Yeah, man, that's what we should do." So I think in terms of style, that's kind of. I think I just kind of knew I wanted to do it. Actually, you know what?
There it is.
Yeah, there it
Yeah,
is.
that's absolutely gorgeous.
Tico, over your shoulder, I see Horrified on the shelf.
Yeah.
I think I had just picked up Horrified. I think this was fall semester. Is that right, Dave?
Yep.
And I think
2019.
Yeah, 2019. I think we had picked up Horrified that fall as like, hey, this would be a fun game to play in October. And, I was really kind of in love with the art style on that.
Yeah.
And that's all pretty, painterly. And so I kind of wanted to do something a little bit in that vein.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it works perfectly for the game. I'll tell you that. It looks absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. Now, the game, I understand, is 1 to 4 players. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
So what does a solo game look like? Is it typically a competitive game?
Yeah, good question. So the game it's got a little bit more of a Euro feel, so there's not going to be a lot of heavy interaction or take that in the main game. And because of that, since there is a little bit more of a solitary player kind of focus, there's definitely some interaction with the market as well as who's going to make spirits first, because there's only a certain amount of labels. Like once the whiskey labels run out, you can still make it, but you're not going to get as many bonus points.
Okay.
So kind of looking like market demand. So anyway, that's the multiplayer game. And the solo game is basically a layer on top of that. So it's taking really 95% of all the rules from the main game and then laying a series of challenges that the solo player will need to achieve, a la somewhat Seven Wonders Duel, where there's a tree that you have to weave through, but those are all goals you're trying to achieve. And you're essentially trying to work yourself from the bottom of a barrel, a shape of these goals, to the top of the barrel over the course of the game, while trying to hit a target score and achieve lots of different goals. And that was, I decided to reach out to David Digby over in the UK to help with the design of that solo game. And I'm really, really pleased. I'm not that much of a solo player, but I've really enjoyed playing Distilled solo, which has been fun.
So what, in the solo game, what are you essentially playing against? Is it just playing against yourself to better your score, or?
Yeah, there's no automa. So essentially, picture this kind of barrel-shaped pyramid is a barrel of all these different cards. Each card has a different goal on it that you need to try and achieve, from easier goals to much harder goals at the very end. You see some of those, but some are hidden.
Okay.
And some of those goals will have a target score that you have to beat. So, for instance, the topmost goal in this that you have to win at the end of the game and beat will take the whole game to try and achieve that. Well, that goal might have a target score of 75. So you will have to beat the score of 75 and beat all the goals climbing up this ladder as well. So it's kind of additional layers of challenge that you're not necessarily maybe trying to get the highest score, because you're challenged with these other kind of tricky goals to achieve throughout that process.
Right. So it just becomes more of a puzzle to try to solve as you go. It's not necessarily playing against the game, but more like traditional card solitaire. You're either going to win it or you're not, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of that idea.
Yeah, it is. And usually, it oftentimes comes down to the wire, because the points at the end of the game, how Distilled set up is that lots of the points are calculated near the end. Not all of them, but you usually see a big influx at the end. So it oftentimes comes down to the wire, like, oh, I just beat that by 3 points, whatever it might be.
Right. That's cool.
Okay.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So the game. So I want to know, Sean, plug your ears again for a second. We always do this. I try to get him to plug his ears. I want to know some of the strategies that you guys use in order to win the game yourselves. I like to sort of get a little head start on Sean for when we eventually get it to the table.
I have no strategies at all. All the times I've played Distilled, I've kind of said like, oh, I don't I don't think anyone's played as this distiller identity yet. I'm going to do that. Or like I've always made my decisions based a little bit in a playtesting mode. I've actually really not played it truly for fun yet. Dave.
Well, Dave.
Come on, man.
Well, maybe I haven't either. So it's interesting. The way we've tried to design this is in a way that allows multiple paths to victory. So again, trying to simulate what you might find in the industry, in the alcohol spirits industry.
Yeah.
So if a whiskey distillery starts out as a whiskey distillery and they distill whiskey and put it into a barrel, they get no money. It sits in a warehouse. They're poor for a number of years. They can't do anything about it. Right. They usually start making vodka or gin on the side and selling that, or selling the spirit they make to other people too. So I've tried to design it in a way that represents that distilled. So you might try and make a whiskey, and that's great, and it'll sit in your warehouse for a round or two, and you're not earning money from it. And so you have to make something cheaper to be able to sell that right away. So we usually see players going kind of one of three routes. One route is that they heavily age stuff, because the longer you age a spirit, the more points it comes in at the end.
Okay.
Right. We see some players that do lots of clear spirits like gin and vodka, where they're making those and they're making lots of money. They're turning them around and buying new ingredients to upgrade themselves. And then sometimes there's that middle of the road. So you kind of want to choose one of those strategies and lean into it. But you also need to keep an eye on your opponents, because if they're also trying to make whiskey, that means the market's going to run out of grains, for instance.
Okay.
So,
awesome.
And the different characters themselves that you're playing as, does that affect the strategy that you're taking? Are the special powers for them that significant that it's going to affect which strategy you're going to take?
Yeah, Eric, you want to talk about that? The characters?
Yeah, sure. They don't. I mean, they do give you a little bit of a gameplay. You know, they have some specific gameplay boosts. Yeah. I mean, they're all very balanced. Okay. But yeah, they each have a different signature spirit that you can craft in your distillery. And so if you're the distiller from Scotland, for example, you're going to, not surprisingly, be making a single malt as your sort of signature blend, your signature spirit that you can make. And so if you're from, Jamaica, you'll be making a rum, like an extra dark rum, and so on and so on. So they each have their own spirit, but they also can give you a little bit of a bonus, like you can collect more money on certain things, or you can. Am I describing that well?
Yeah, you're totally right. Yeah, each one has its own kind of special action as well. Yeah,
special action.
And a backstory. So the characters are one of my favorite things about the game, because the art of the characters is just unbelievable. Let's see if I can find two. And I know this won't do it justice, but they're basically these frame portraits that you essentially have inherited the distillery from this individual. So then there's this portrait of them that you hang up in your distillery.
Okay.
So there's our Scottish character. And then Eric's also written this cool backstory on each of them as well. So you can read that to, the table as you're starting up. So really trying to infuse this sense of theme, but also authenticity, but also like wonder, like these cool stories that maybe don't make necessarily full sense, but they are historically accurate as best as they can be as well. So
as much as fiction can be.
Yeah.
But yeah, you want to represent gin in the best way possible, or in a way that's that's very authentic to gin's role in England, for example.
Yeah. So now I have to ask you, since I just introduced you to my favorite whiskey, Sean's Irish Whiskey, from the oldest pub in the world, established in 900 AD, you got to make a Sean character from Ireland. Like that would just be awesome. Come on. Obviously, it existed. It exists when this game takes place, because it has existed forever.
Exactly. That's a good point. Well, yeah, we are looking at, we're hopeful that if we do well with the Kickstarter, we've got some stretch goals that are going to unlock different distiller identities from around the world. And Ireland's one of them that we hope to be able to unlock, specifically, of course, for some good pot still whiskey from Ireland. So
awesome.
How many come in the base game?
So starting out, 9 different identities come in the base game.
Okay.
And then moving on from there, we hope to unlock more and more as the campaign goes forward. Again, we just don't know what to expect because the fact is this is a very card heavy game. Mm-hmm. Even at the base pledge, at the base starting out, it's going to be over 350 cards. Wow. And again, because of the fact that we really wanted to represent the industry in all the different facets. So Erik's illustrated custom bottles from different regions, different types of ingredients, to the point where he can't stand looking at grains anymore because I've asked him to do so many different variations of grains.
All grains end up looking the same eventually.
Yeah. They're all brown.
That's probably not wrong.
Yeah, anyway, but yeah, so I don't know, it's probably the artists in us and the history buffs in us. We really want to, the professors in us, we really want to make this an experience that's special, not just like that's partially representative of the distilling industry, but really tries to come through as best as possible.
Okay. We'll talk about your campaign for a little bit. Obviously, you said you're going to have some stretch goals. Is there any that you can tease for us? Are there expansions that might be, added in? Anything we can, we need a Canadian distillery in there at some point too.
So here's the deal. So actually, I think the Canadian and Irish might be on the same exact stretch goal. Oh, nice, good, nice, good work. But yeah, so if we can fund in the first 24 hours, so it's a big stretch, but we're going to try. If we can fund in the first 24 hours, we've got a 14-card mini expansion that we're going to give to all backers for free.
Awesome.
That includes 4. Erik, you want to talk about the 4 distillery identities that are going to come with that? Erik specially designed these for this kind of unique pack.
Yeah, there's 4. Basically, there's 4 more. Am I okay to give away anything about
give
them?
Away.
Okay. Okay, so they represent 4 more regions. The regions are, yes? Okay,
yeah,
good.
Go for it. Yeah, he's looking for clearance from me. It's cool.
I want the green light. Yep. Russia, Germany. Oh man,
America.
Yes, America, and
then so for absinthe.
Yes, that's right. Algeria.
Oh
yeah. So the main game has the Americas as a region, Europe as a region, and Asia and Oceania as a region. So those are regions that play into things like bottle set collection in the game for extra points. Certain spirits earn certain bonuses. But our first expansion that is also going to be offered as part of the Kickstarter, if you go with the upper level pledge, the signature blend is what we're calling it.
Nice. Nice.
You'll get the base game and you'll get the Africa and Middle East expansion that will also have that region represented, as well as a set of deluxe custom metal coins for the game.
Nice.
And then also a set of 8 distilled themed coasters. So, you want to be able to put your drink on something when you're playing your game.
Very nice. That's great. That's a great addition to it for sure.
Yeah.
I love that. All right, gentlemen, we have our lightning round. If you've seen a couple of our shows, you're probably familiar. You're probably prepared a whole bunch of answers on a piece of paper, a little cheat sheet.
No.
Okay, that's all right too. These are pretty
deliberately came in blank. I'm ready.
Perfect.
Top of the dome. It's all top of the dome.
Perfect. That's what we want. That's
what
the whole idea of lightning. So these are based around your board gaming habits outside of your own game. So we want to get to know you guys. So I'll have Dave. We'll have you answer first. Erik second.
Cool.
Great.
All right. Deck builder or deck constructor?
Deck builder.
Probably deck builder.
Okay. Favorite classic game?
I'm gonna go with Clue Clue Museum Caper. I still have my old version as a kid. It's a 3D thing. I'm going to get it out while you're talking. So Clue Museum Caper.
Nice. Right. Okay, I love Clue. Clue is one of my favorites too.
I'm going to go Pictionary.
Oh wow. Pictionary. Okay. that's the artist in you.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's
see this.
Oh,
check it out.
Nice. Look at that.
Look at the size of this box.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Okay, real quick. I just got to show you. And this is why it's so cool. It comes with a 3D board. It's a museum, and you set up little paintings on stands, and you set up little security cameras around, and it's basically like Scotland Yard. One person's trying to sneak around and steal the camera, the paintings, while everybody else is trying to catch them. It's actually kind of fun.
Scotland Yard is another old game that I just
Yeah,
adored when I was a kid. I still have it upstairs, my original. Love that game.
Yep, me too.
Awesome. All right. Game you most want to add to your collection?
Oh, jeez. Frosthaven, because I'm waiting on it.
Okay.
All right.
I can't answer this one. I would have said Wingspan, but Dave got me a copy of that. But so I'm gonna cheap out, and I'm gonna say Distilled.
Still,
Oh, yeah. Good answer.
That's against the rules, but we'll take it.
We'll take it. We'll allow it. All right. Worker placement or area control?
Worker placement, hands down. It's actually my probably one of my favorite genres.
Oh, awesome.
Right.
Yeah, I might have to say worker placement.
Okay.
All right. Campaign or legacy?
Oh, I am gonna go with legacy. Legacy.
Yep.
Same.
Yeah, I love
Legacy,
legacy
alright.
games.
I feel like legacy is kind of campaign. That's
It
a little
kind of
bit.
is. Yeah.
Well, it is, but legacy, the game changes as you play. That's the difference.
Okay, that's
Right.
what you're saying.
It changes permanently.
Campaigns can be reset.
Right.
Whereas legacy, you're
Oh,
making
sure.
that hard decision to tear
Legacy,
that
then.
piece up.
Yep, legacy for sure.
I
actually
played a
kinda
few legacy games with Dave.
Yeah,
and
we've played a lot of legacy games together.
It's always exciting
Yes.
watching him tear cards up.
All right, I'm going to throw one in then. Favorite legacy game that you've played? Which one do you like the best?
For me, it's kind of a legacy game and kind of not. I'm going to say it is though, because of the fact that once you play it, you can't play it again because it's not worth it. Is Time Stories, even though it doesn't ruin the game.
Okay. Okay.
Unless I took Eric's.
Yeah, you did take mine.
You like
but-
Time Stories too? Yeah.
Yeah,
We played
but
it together.
we haven't finished King's Dilemma, so
That's true. That's a good
so
one.
I might have that as an answer,
That's
but
good,
we
that's
haven't
good.
finished it, so I don't know.
My personal favorite is Betrayal Legacy. Fantastic legacy game.
Yeah,
I haven't played that one. Legacy, of course.
So
but
good.
the
The
other
story is
Nice.
amazing, and it's so much
Good.
fun with like 4 or 5 people.
Yeah.
one. Nice.
All right. Most recent game purchase?
Wingspan for Eric.
Yeah, Wingspan for Eric.
but I was gifted it.
Right.
I think it was. Yeah, I think it was. I'm not going to count a Kickstarters. I'm gonna say Tricerion,
Okay.
which
Sure.
is one I've been wanting for a long time and finally got it.
I can't
You
answer.
can just say Wingspan. You didn't
I'll
purchase
say
it.
I'll
You have
cheap
it. You
out
acquired
again.
it.
That's
You
fine.
acquired it.
Most recent game acquisition.
Acquisition.
Yeah, okay,
There we go.
Acquisition, then Wingspan. Prior to that, I can't remember.
Okay. No worries.
Oh no,
Alright.
I totally know. I do
Oh.
know it. Wow, it just
Alright.
dawned on me. The Initiative,
Okay.
Oh, I've heard such good things about that.
pretty fun, and it comes
Yeah.
with a comic book.
Oh, very cool. All right. Science fiction or fantasy?
Oh. Right now, fantasy.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to say science fiction.
And favorite modern board game?
I'm gonna go with. That is a campaign, but Imperial Assault, Star Wars
Oh,
Imperial
nice.
Assault.
Nice.
Okay.
That's a
My
game
favorite.
I've always wanted to play.
I love it. I love it.
I don't have favorites of anything.
Okay.
I can never ask favorite questions.
Oh, no, that's fair.
That's all
Sorry.
right. That's all right. Well, I mean, I love doing the lightning round stuff because it lets us and our audience know you guys as gamers outside of your own game. I just love doing that. But so before we let you go, either one of you, give us your final thoughts on Distilled. Is there anything else you want people to know about the game, and why should they back it?
Eric, you want to go
I
first?
am so excited about this project. When Dave approached me, I guess a year and a half ago or whatever, and we really started thinking about it and talking about it, I could tell that it had that spark of something special at the time. Like I wanted to be involved with it pretty immediately.
Okay.
And it's not just because I totally trust him and respect him, which I do. But it's also because like I knew that there was something there. Like there's something real. There's something indescribable there, and that's why you should be paying attention to it. And that's why you should back it is because there's a little piece of magic in that game.
That's right. I like it. Yeah.
Awesome. Dave, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, I mean, I think Erik summed it up really well. There's something special about this game. It's one thing is there's never been a board game, a strategy game at all about distilling alcohol. It's the first ever. So there's lots of wine games that are fantastic, lots of beer games that are fantastic. This is the first of this genre for distilling alcohol. And people, when they give feedback about it, the big thing they say is they're hard pressed to find many other games that have woven theme and mechanics so tightly together. And so that would be one thing. If people like their theme, people like their mechanics, and they like how those interplay, I'd highly recommend Distilled for them to check out. Not just for the gameplay, but also just, again, the gorgeous art on all the cards and the whole table when it's laid out.
Awesome. Well, of course, Distilled comes to Kickstarter on July 6th. That's coming up very fast, or it could be there now. Click those links down below in the description, and you can go check it out. Dave, Erik, thanks so much for being on the show. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and good luck with your campaign.
Thank you so much, too. Hi, everybody. I'm Dave Beck. I'm the designer of Distilled. So happy you're able to watch us here, and I hope you'll really think about hitting that little button right down below. Subscribe to OMG Nexus. Thanks a lot.